Hey, hey, dear Libra. That's you. Okay. Welcome to Tarot Lumination for your July 2017 general report. Okay. We've done this before. Tarot Illumination has been going for a few months now, and you might be a return visitor. If so, you kind of know the drill already. There's no reversals. There's no flyers, no jumpers. I don't use oracles these days, and that's just all there is to it. I try to keep it stripped down, bare bones, simple stuff, okay? So also I'm supposed to tell you, read for your sun and your moon and your rising, okay? So then you get the bigger picture, and you don't have to lump everything into this one reading because this might not make any sense to you at all, okay? So Libra, like with the planets and stuff, there's things going on in the background you need to understand. That's going to affect you really strongly. There is a cardinal grand T-square. It's still there. It's almost like a cardinal grand cross. It is that wicked, okay? So that's for all the Capricorns, Cancers, Libras, and Aries. And Libra, you're one of them, okay? So you're going to feel it, and it's probably most especially in the area of the dynamics of relationships and how things seem to be manifesting in terms of home and career. Like there might be some weird stuff going on that you don't really understand right now because you are changing as a personality from the inside, and simultaneously your external situations and conditions are changing from the outside. So it might be a little, disorienting as you go through this, trying to find this balance. What the bleep is going on kind of thing. Like there might be some really good stuff, and at the same time there's stuff that doesn't make any sense at all, okay? And it's an ongoing energy, okay? It's going to go through all of July, and it's going to keep continuing for a while, okay? It'll back off and change little bits here and there, but mostly it'll feel like you are either putting a lot of pressure or a lot of pressure is being put on you regarding your home environment and your career, or your career and your home, because they are like almost like opposing energies right now, and especially in the area of relationship, significant other, where there might be just like things happening out of the blue that don't make any sense at all, and it's kind of making you like think to yourself like, what on earth is happening in my world? Okay. So Venus is going into Gemini. That's your 9th house. So you might feel uplifted regarding travel, spiritual exploration, the love of that stuff, and communicating and understanding about it in ways that you can maybe speak about it later once you've figured out what it is you have to discover. Mercury's going into Leo, your 11th house, friends, hopes, dreams, wishes, community. And you might feel a very strong desire to like hang out with your buddies and connect and hook up like in a sort of a group friendly environment. You got the full moon, Capricorn, coming into your 4th. So there might be things happening in your home environment where things are culminating and coming to a surface that you might not have expected. We don't know what they are. Tarot Illumination is not a fortune teller, okay? We don't know what's going on in your home life. You might know that there's stuff going on, but it's going to culminate around, like, I guess the full moon. That's going to be fairly early on in the month. Let me just check. I should have done all my notes. I did them. Yeah, it's like the 8th, I think. Yeah. And then at the end of the month, you've got this new moon in Leo over in your 11th house. Again, groups, communities, friends, family, where you belong, where you feel you're part of the whole thing, and it's not all about you. It's about everybody else, okay? So you might feel like there's new ways that you want to communicate and hang out and like manifest your dreams and wishes and socialize and connect and hook up in new ways that you've never really like actually done before. or maybe you've done them before, but you're going to like upgrade them, okay? And it's going to be fun, and it'll be exciting too, okay? So anyway, that's just kind of like, you know, some astrobabble notes that I had here in the background. I just, you know, I just do that for my own, like, welfare. But this is actually a tarot channel. God, I've been talking too much. Sorry. Let's just get on with your reading. I've been shuffling the whole time, and the cards were already pre-shuffled before we are rolling. So I like to go right to the last second, and now we're going to cut. I'm going to try and really break up the energy with some extreme cutting here. There we go. There we go. There we go. And now let's do it. Here's the general vibe. Here's where you're coming from. You might have been carrying this energy for months, maybe even longer. Here's the ever-present now, like throughout the month. Here's where things are going to be heading, where you seem to be heading on this journey through July. Here's how we're going to deal with it, because as you move forward, you risk and face into the unknown. You're taking risks, and you know you have to have ways to get through that, because even if you're deeply entrenched and you have lots of habits and routines that are just like clockwork, every day when you walk out the door, you're still facing into the unknown. You don't know if you're going to get, you know, sideswiped by somebody, or your car's going to get stolen, or somebody's going to get sick. You don't have a clue what's actually going to happen, no matter how organized, you know, your daily routines might be. And so let's just keep going. Let's just say you've figured it out. You're moving through the month just fine, at least as best as you can. And so what, either unwittingly, have you invoked by your own energies that's now coming back to you, like karmic return? Or if it just appears like it's like coming out of nowhere, you know, like it's nothing to do with your own doing, but it's still there anyway, it's your environment, then that's what that would be here. Over here, this is just as you get deeper into the month, realizing, oh my God, I hope I made the right decisions. I hope I'm doing the right thing. What if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't work? And that's all over here. And this seems to be where things might be heading, some way, somehow, heading out of the month, okay? And underneath it all, we have what I like to think of as like, you know, the prevailing weather. This is like around the whole reading. It's not the vibe of the reading, which is your energy. It's like surrounding energies, like just like the weather outside your front door. You just, whatever it is, you just deal with it because you have to, okay? Rain or shine, cold or hot, windy or calm, whatever it is. So there you go. You got your little Two of Wands indicating that you're very aware that you're kind of, I don't want to make it too epic, but like, you know what? It's like, dear Libra, I'm aware that I actually hold my own destiny in my own hands right now. There's an awful lot going on. And if I just wanted to sit back and just let stuff unfold, then the universe is going to make all these important decisions for me. And I'm just going to be just blown along in the wind. So it might be like cool, dear Libra, to come to an awakening and realization that it's really important to understand that every tiny little decision adds up and it turns into consequences later on as you set out on your mission, your life, on the way you project your life forward. So if the prevailing weather is indicating to you like, smells interesting, there's opportunity here, there's prospects here where I can make positive gains and set out in directions that are good for me and wholesome for me. Let's have a look, because we don't see the long-term future with this. This is just an indication like the wind is in your sails and now you have to make decisions. What am I exactly going to do with my time and my resources, my passion, my desires, my dreams? Okay? So take advantage of this moment in July. Here's the vibe, all right? See? It's like, it's consequence. In other words, it's very apparent right now that the decisions that you are like pondering and holding inside of you at the moment are going to have consequences. It's going to show up in some way, in some form, where it'll become very apparent that, at least to some degree, you are the master of your own destiny, in which case it's very, very important that you make good, healthy, solid decisions. Because if the wind is in your favor, and you don't know how to sail, and you don't know how to read instruments or understand the prevailing energies, you could have all the best of intentions to go here and be there, but you'd end up over there. So what's the use of that? It's really, really important to understand that you got to get your own bearings and keep your own bearings, and understand that a lot of it is to do with making lots and lots of tiny little decisions, one by one, row after row after row, in order for your destiny to start to unfold in the way that you want it to. All right? So that's a good awareness to have coming into the month. All right? Actually, you're going to need it because of that huge T-square. It's going to be really important to understand like where you are. You got to stand in your ground, hold to your truth, your passions, your desires, your wishes for how things need to unfold in your life, and honor that and respect that, okay? And not be blown around by the wind, okay? It's really important to be able to read the signs, so to speak. All right, so where you're coming from. Oh, okay. So Libra, it might be that you're coming from a sort of a position of nostalgia. Maybe there is an awful lot of shifting going on in your world, especially when it comes to home and family, in contrast to work and career, and how that affects you personally and your most intimate relationships personally. And in that regard, it's becoming apparent that there's a lot going on that you've been carrying with you from the past, and it's now here present in the future, and that's fine. The question is it relevant for right now? Because if you've been dwelling in the past and enjoying all the stuff of like maybe the energy of past lives, and that's fine, including past, like, let's say a karmic love life, karmic love relationship. This is not a love reading, by the way. Well, I'm just trying to keep very broad energies. Like if you're coming into the month with the feeling of nostalgia, like, man, I wish it could be like how it used to be. I remember the old days when everything was like this and everything was like that, and it was so simple and so pure, and I loved you and you loved me, and we created a life and a world and everything. And coming into that. But my feeling here is that this is a lot about nostalgia, looking into the past. And it's actually kind of appropriate when you think about it, because with the sun, like over there in, well, actually the moon's going to come into your fourth house. Things are going to appear like in your home situation, where in family environment, like the foundations of your life, where it's almost like you could be coming into the month looking around thinking, what is happening? There's so much like deep undercover kind of like shifting going on that I don't understand, but I know it's affecting me, and it's affecting my like feelings of how things used to be, because I loved how things used to be, but it feels like things are changing. And it might be that you don't actually like the way that the changes that you're feeling. So you would be holding on to the past, so to speak. You might be holding on to the nostalgia and the how things could have been, should have been. But it's not quite that way anymore, because there are significant like shifts happening, what I would call tectonic plate shifts. These are such big, deep, fundamental shifts that it almost feels like, let's just say you're sitting at home on your sofa, and all of a sudden you get this sort of feeling, and there's one of those like mini earthquakes, and the whole house goes for a moment, and then it settles. And that can be very, very frightening. And everything's calm again, but you get this very deep message from the foundations of your world that things are shifting, okay? Which might scare you enough to think, oh, I wish I could just hold on to the past and keep everything how it used to be, where everything was nice and comfortable in its place. So that's just my feeling, okay, for you coming into the month, all right? You might read the cards differently. There's lots of tarot readers out there who would give you a totally different storyline, but we're going with it for now on Tarot Lumination, all right? So in the ever-present now, moving through July, we have this. You know, this card has been showing up a lot in the readings, and I think, you know, I haven't mentioned this earlier with the nutty things about the astrology and stuff, but I think it might be something to do with Neptune retrograde, because it's a very big thing, but it's very deep and it's very subtle. You might not even know it's happening, but you might be in a place right now where you're feeling like it's about time that things got sorted out properly, where I need a serious effing reality check. In other words, you might have been cruising along for months or even years, just taking everything for granted, that life is just how it is. This is just how it is, how it was, how it is now, and how it's going to be forever. And then we get these energies of, like, I would feel it's just like, to me, it feels like a jolting thing. There's nothing in the cards that have shown so far to describe what I'm talking about. I'm just feeling it by intuition. But there's definitely a rumbling going on. And perhaps like the desire for things to be how they were, as opposed to how they are right now. Because how they are right now is that there's a deep shifting going on. And it might even concern relationships, work relationships, home relationships, in a way that affects your whole waking life. And it might feel as though like you want to start all over. You would like to start it all over again and make it just how it used to be, but it's not happening. And to me, it feels like almost, I wish this could happen, where I could get redemption and start all over again with a clean slate, and start my life all over again and reconfigure it with greater wisdom and awareness now that I'm more mature. But I'm feeling this more as a wishful energy than as an actual factual energy. So Libra, moving on, because like Jupiter's over there in your first house and Uranus is over there in your seventh house of relationships, where you got these shocking things that could be happening and shifting things around that can be very rattling. And it could actually happen in such a way that some kind of big jolt happens, where it feels like it's a release, like it's a redemption, a reconciliation, or like an awakening, like everything is actually working out as it should be, the way it's supposed to be. And I've come through this far. I don't exactly know what it is, but I know things are shifting in a big way, and it's going to be okay. It's actually, my feeling is that it's something that I don't actually want to acknowledge. It's almost like, even though this is an amazing card as a standalone card, in this position in the right now, about like redemption and reconciliation, it might be that there are things that need to be reconciled, that need to be understood in a much bigger, broader perspective than you've ever done before, as opposed to just the mundane nitty-gritty of life. And dealing with that, facing that, it might be something that you don't actually want to do, but you know you have to do it. And in order to chart the course of your life in a healthy way moving forward. Hopefully for you, wishing you could take all the good stuff from the past and keep it moving forward with you. However, it might also indicate having to leave things from the past as things are wiped out, and it's like getting your computer hard drive completely wiped out and clean, and you get a complete reinstallation and a reboot for the latest upgrades in order to move on, which could include having to leave the past behind, which might be a little disturbing for Libras, because Libras do not like to be disturbed or unhappy, especially when it comes to the energy of relationships, especially if that disturbs the foundations of your life and home. Okay, let's keep going. Moving forward, what have we got? Well, you're getting what you deserved. In other words, if you've been living your life very consciously, and you know exactly what's going on, and you understand everything that we've discussed here, like, it's very important to understand that you are creating your own destiny, decision by decision, and the energies are there to support you all the time, whether you like it or know it or not, but it's up to you to grab it and understand it. And that leads you to a place where you're becoming very aware of, like, let's say, your past. It's almost like looking into a journal and going through all the pages, like for years, like, oh my gosh, I did this, I did that, I did that. But things are changing, and whatever was not appropriate or not real or just an illusion is going to be wiped away. And you're going to start all over again from scratch. And that can be very disorienting. But the thing is, it might be just that that's what you deserve. Because if you've been living on autopilot and not making healthy decisions and just trusting that things are going to be okay, then you're going to get what you deserve for acting and living and behaving that way. If you've been very conscientious about how you've lived your life up till now, you're still going to get what you deserve, but in a more apparent way that matches up with your decisions. So in other words, when you start getting what you deserve, moving forward into the month, is it going to happen out of a state of awareness or out of a state of blindness? Because that's two very different ways of evolving. Okay? So, moving forward from there, understanding that you're going to get what you deserve either way, consciously or unconsciously. How are you going to deal with that? Okay. You're going to, let's say, conduct yourself in an honorable manner anyway, whether you're in this situation of evolving, going blind, or it's very, very conscientious. Either way, it's very, very important that you appreciate, like, everything in your world and your surroundings that has afforded you to be in this position, and where you can, let's say, be appreciated by others in your world, and you appreciate the others in your world, regardless of how things play out. In other words, especially in the foundations of your life, foundations of your world, where it's very apparent that you're a valuable component to other people's lives, and that they value you and you value them, and you are highly appreciated, despite however this evolves. In other words, it's just like if you've been living partly on autopilot and things are kind of going sort of awkward, you're still going to be accepted and appreciated and loved anyway. If you've been doing things very conscientiously and deliberately, you're going to be appreciated anyway, and perhaps even more. And so a healthy way to proceed through the month is with a very, very clear understanding that no matter what, you are appreciated. Your skills, your abilities, your value, your worth to others, your worth to the home and the family is very highly appreciated, even if you don't feel it. Okay, so it's very much, and it's very, very evident because people see it in your day-to-day actions and your behavior, and how you are a valuable member to the home. That's how I'm feeling it here. So let's just keep going. This basically, in other words, moving forward, just keep doing what you're doing that works, okay? In other words, like reality check, reality check, reality check. Stick very, very, very closely to what works, what you know is true for you. Absolutely true and very tangible for you, okay? So you're not swept along by energies of other people or external energies of work environment or home environments or huge shifts in the home environment. You still stick to who you know you are and what you can do and how you can do it, what you value, who you value, and what works, okay? So it's almost like a very, very simple approach. Just get real, stay grounded, and then just keep going, all right? So what does that lead you to? Well, celebration. Maybe there is something to celebrate. Maybe there's some kind of engagement. Maybe there's some kind of reason to let's say appreciate the home and the family where you are right now, even if there's huge shifts going on, where there's like things coming to the surface that you never knew existed, but they're happening anyway, and you're getting what you deserve. You're sticking to your guns, who you are and what you do and how you do it. And even though, like, let's say you have a breakdown or something because you're not able to handle this big shift in energy, you're still going to be loved and appreciated and celebrated as part of the like fundamentally part of the home structure, the foundations of your life. I'm kind of feeling this reading very much to do with that big T-square, the big cardinal T-square, almost like a grand cross, which is affecting home, career, fundamental relationships, and yourself, okay? And trying to find the balance point with all of that, because it's extremely, extremely hard energy to balance. And all I'm suggesting is that to move through the month, to stay balanced, is to just stick to what you know and understand that, like, when you come home at the end of the day, let's say you're a working person or you're coming back from school or you've been out and around and it's time to come home and just settle a bit. Understand that you're coming into an environment where you're deeply, deeply appreciated, even if things are falling apart in a way that you don't understand, okay? And maybe not everyone else in your environment can even explain that to you. And maybe they can just feel it because they're probably all feeling the same kind of shifts of tectonic plates. You know what happens when the tectonic plates move over each other. You can't stop it happening. Let's say there's two comfortable tectonic plates and they've just been sitting like that for a long time, and all of a sudden there's a shift. That could be extremely disturbing. It doesn't mean your whole world is falling apart, but it's a big shift, and how do you deal with that? And then it shifts again. Then it shifts again. But you still keep going, and you hang in there, and you're still appreciated anyway, because it's almost like you're living through the same, you know, imagine, I don't know why I'm using this earthquake environment. There's no tower cards here. There's no death card or whatever, but I'm feeling big shifts in tectonic plates. So imagine everybody's at home, enjoying being at home, celebrating being at home, and you're actually like, it's like in a movie where an earthquake is actually happening while you're having a really nice dinner and family experience at home, and you just keep going anyway. You just keep going. It's just like that weird thing in a movie. And then so where does that, what about the hopes and dreams here? Okay, it's if it comes to the point that you're hoping that this kind of stuff doesn't happen, if you've got anxiety about things that you're scared might happen, that's understandable. And if you're hoping that whatever you're scared of that you can handle, that's good too, okay? Don't be too scared of this. When these scary cards are revealed, I see it as an opportunity for healing. So where does that lead you? Okay, it leads you to coming into an opportunity, especially towards the end of the month, where with all this energy going on here, you now get a chance to like fully integrate with yourself in ways that you've never had a chance to do before, even though there might be some like shifts in the home and everything. It's going to allow you to, I don't know, like have a chance to come into yourself, but at a higher level where, let's say if you experience something really unsettling as part of the, let's say you get a shift of tectonic plates and then they settle. And in the process of having lived through that, it's scaring and frightening for your home, your relationships, your environment, and things were brought up that you were not expecting, and they can be frightening, but you deal with it. And in the process of dealing with your own evolution here, knowing that deep down you are hopefully mostly the master of your own destiny, it allows you to like bring things into balance where a lot of the things that might have been unbalanced before this big shift are now coming into a like more acute awareness where it's really, really important to bring the more like higher consciousness, spiritual aspects into your being by the end of this month, where your like animal self is now much more in alignment with spirit, where you can share that and celebrate that with others. And even though it might not be turning out in a way that you could have ever expected or wanted. In other words, I'm going back to this feeling from right from the beginning that there's this deep underlying sensation that things are changing, that they have to change, that certain destinies are unfolding, that you're getting a chance to reboot your life in a way that you deserve. You're going to be still loved and appreciated. And in the process, you might get really upset because sometimes that just happens as you grow and evolve. Let's just call all this growing pains. But let's treat that again as a healing opportunity where you can integrate and reformat yourself as the higher, shinier, brighter, better version of yourself, where like the raw ego animal side is now the servant of the divine, the heavenly side of yourself, the really, really, the high vibration part of yourself, okay? So it's a really, really good place to end up for the end of the month. It might be a very weird, trippy journey to get there, but you're going to be fine. Okay, Libra? I hope you get something out of this. Please read for your sun and moon and rising and make the best out of this. I'll just leave the cards here for a moment so you can reinterpret them yourself in your own way, however you want to, okay? I read them as a journey from the heart, felt and lived through the heart. Like this is the shape I'm trying to convey here, okay? It's from the heart, okay? I'll just show you this one little card as a reminder, okay? You are the master of your own destiny. So make the best of all of this, okay? Thank you, dear Libra. Have a super, super July, okay? Bye-bye. Bye-bye.